I said, oh, stuff it, open the gate, let's go in. The gate went open and all hell broke loose. My troops ignored me and they ran in. The TPS also came out shooting right away, so I joined in the attack. Seemed to be doing alright, so I left them to it while I went to deal with the turrets that were shooting them from a distance. Some of the TPS took off in dropships. You better not have my lantern in there, mate. Hello, it's Matt again. After our war against the Sandworm Queen, where my Moa army won a great and decisive victory, things have settled down a bit at the ranch. We're feeling really confident, like nothing could challenge us now. We could take on anything. You remember that Moa called Cutter, the raptor survivor of the last battle? Well, he now calls himself the Moa King, and more soldiers have flocked to our banner. Though, through a lot of inbreeding, my war party is getting less and less Moa-like. We've also got this shy little Moa, a really timid thing, and she always gets in my ear with all sorts of advice. This time she said, I think we're growing too fast. None of us are getting enough food, or we're not even getting trained like we did for the epic queen fight. The Moa King scoffed at her and told me not to worry about it. This guy had grown in confidence and there was a bit of a strut in his step. So I left him to it and started making some cool items from the queen's eggs. I got a sweet bow that might get nerfed, and a backpack that goes with my cool caveworm armor. And I got a beautiful lantern that brings me fondish memories of the Prometheus sky. Now, I mainly use the lantern when I need to set the mood for producing more troops. And I always put them away in my special crate. Always. But one morning, when I checked on the crate, my lantern was gone. Someone had taken it. And I had a fair idea who. You see, my tunnel was the only way into this Arctic zone. And the TPS, they have a big base there. So I bet one of them snuck in and took my lantern. So I went and told my pack about it. And they got really angry. So I said, look, we're just going to pop over there and we'll ask them to give it back. No need to cause any trouble, could just be a misunderstanding. And that little timid mower, she piped up and said, but it's a big base full of guys with guns and drones and turrets. Maybe we should just let them keep it. And I rolled my eyes at her cowardice, and the Moa King laughed, and then I said, yeah, they might have that. They might have all of that stuff. But what don't they have, lads? That's right, inbred raptor Moa babies. Nothing could stop us. So we set off. I needed to put on my fancy Arctic armour I made out of wool, thanks Dolly. And I took all my guns, filled up my 5 bellies, and we set off to the TPS stronghold. I was overconfident and I took nearly everyone, even Dolly the sheep and some mowers who couldn't fight. I just couldn't be bothered sorting them out, and yeah, I was getting sloppy. But we just had so many troops and I thought, more the merrier. Everything went wrong from the start. First off, a polar bear killed Molly because most of my army weren't set to aggressive.
Why do you get out of my way, you egg?
And then when I set them to aggressive, they all just jumped off a cliff to attack the wolves in the chasm below.
Oh, don't jump off the cliff.
And then I tried to build a bridge across the chasm, but my animals followed me too closely and I got stuck.
You won't get off the bridge over there.
I had to slide down the chasm to get past them, and more jumped off following me, and they plummeted to their death.
Where are you guys going?
So then I had to build ramps to get out of the chasm on the other side, and we continued our trek, battling through a storm and fighting all the hostile wildlife that wanted to kill us. We lost more and more on the way, but whenever I turned around and looked back, I still saw we had a huge, large force. Finally, I I led the way to the cave entrance. We had found their base. Yeah, it was hidden in this cave behind a locked door, but I told them I had a pizza for them on the intercom, and they opened it up. Me and my Moa army walked in and we set up a base, and if you look really closely, right there, I make a rookie mistake. I didn't set a spawn point. I was sloppy and overconfident again. I mean, at this stage, death wasn't even crossing my mind. We moved to the next door. It was a big metal gate. And I told my troops, hey, hold back, I'll knock and do the talking. But they were all aggressive, pushing against the gate. All discipline had gone out the window, and I said, stuff it, open the gate, let's go in. The gate went open and all hell broke loose. My troops ignored me and they ran in. The TPS also came out shooting right away, so I joined in the attack. Seemed to be doing alright, so I left them to it while I went to deal with the turrets that were shooting them from a distance. Some of the TPS took off and dropped ships. You better not have my lantern in there, mate. Then I saw a turret and I cracked it. I should have kept just doing that, but I decided to get a little bit fancy and I tried to sneak up and turn it off. That's when I realised my second horrible mistake. It was a flame turret and it burned me down real fast. I even had a fire resist module sitting in my backpack that I wasn't wearing. And so yeah, I died there. My soul stuck around long enough to watch my pets try save me from the fire, and they died too. Then I realised how bad it actually was. I spawned all the way back at my desert base. My animals were left behind, stranded in this kill zone. And all I could do was watch the notifications spam up as they were cut down by the TPS with their drones and their turrets and their soldiers with guns. I lost Sneakfish, my first raptor, who was going to inherit the farm. He was gone. And my mighty Tusker, killed as well. So many fallen. I was in a state and I geared up as best as I could and ran to the younglings that we had left behind. I grabbed the fastest one, a raptor built for speed, and I tried to find the scattered survivors. It didn't take long to find some that had fled. Some were still burning from the flame turrets. I quickly brought up my map and searched for more survivors. And then that's when I saw him. The Moa King. The one once called Cutter, he was still alive and trapped in the chasm. He had never even made it to the fight. I felt hope again. Nothing could kill that fella. I'm coming for you, mate. You just stay alive. I left the survivors behind and I entered the chasm alone. And that's when I found him, his foot trapped in a rock. He was crying and he told me everything. It was bloody him who took the lantern, because he had a hot date and he loved the ladies. He planned to put it back before I noticed, but then things just got out of control. I fell really silent. I was mad and I couldn't think straight. So I said, let's just go home, and I took him back to the survivors. And from there, we travelled through the Arctic to the tunnel, all the way back to my ranch. I fell asleep immediately, and when I woke up in the morning, I ran outside, hoping more survivors had turned up. But no, my ranch was empty. Everyone was gone. I heard the Moa King approach me while I stared out at the lake. I found my laser sidearm in my hand and it was pointed at the Moa King. I held it there for a long, long time. This was all his fault. If he didn't take the bloody lantern... Then I lowered the gun. No. It was all my fault. I did this. I took all my pets to their death. They were malnourished and poorly trained, and I forgot to set my spawn point. And I charged a flame turret. They all died because of me. I looked at the Moa King and I said, I'm sorry, mate. Like Icarus himself, I flew too close to the sun and I got consumed by the flames. The Moa King nodded at my ironic poetry. I did this, I said. And then I set my jaw and squared my shoulders. And I said, I think it's time we started a redemption arc.